Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Tasha and I'm an LA-based fashion stylist. In today's video, we're going to discuss last night's Golden Globes best and worst dressed. So that we're not here all day, I have selected 9 of my favorites and 9 of my least favorites. I want to start out by saying that true ugliness radiates from the inside. It is much harder to fix an ugly heart than it is to change an ugly dress. So any of the looks that I discussed that I don't care for, it is not intended to be a personal attack on that person. We are simply discussing their clothes. We are not talking about them as a person, their personality, their talent as whatever type of entertainer they are. It has nothing to do with any of those types of things. As a fashion stylist, one of the hardest parts of my job is to tell someone that something doesn't look great on them. And actually, it's part of my onboarding stuff that I have my new clients sign. There is something in there that details the fact that if I am telling you that something doesn't suit you, doesn't look good on you, that it is not a personal attack. And it's something that I have to remind people of, that it's actually my job. You have hired me to do this service, and I would not be doing my job if I was like, oh yeah, that looks fine on you, when it really doesn't. So it's never a personal attack on someone as a person. It's very easy to change clothes, hairstyle, makeup, that kind of thing. Something else to take into consideration is that fashion is something that's always evolving and changing. Our own personal taste and style kind of grows as we change as humans. And I think the most important thing is if we look back on something that we or someone else wore and it's cringe, I think that we want to remember or point out that if they or yourself felt good in it at the time, that's very different than just kind of not showing up feeling your best. And the only way to learn from anything in life is to go out there and do it, and sometimes we make mistakes. I'm certainly not saying by offering critique of some of these outfits that I am perfect or without flaw. I make style mistakes and I'm a fashion stylist. Just the other day, somebody left a comment on one of my recent Instagram photos saying how much they hated my outfit. It's just fashion, it's not that serious. Clothes can be changed very easily. Something I think that caused a lot of unexpected issues last night was this background. I saw several fair-skinned ladies that looked beautiful but had selected also very pale tones, whether it was a pale pink, peach, or ivory, even white, against this backdrop. It just didn't do them any favors. And I was actually there working the event. I was not told this in advance what the background would be, and so this was a learning experience for me. It's something that I will make a note of next time to inquire about so that something like this does not happen to one of my clients. Case in point, Emma Stone, who is not one of my clients, but this dress and this background, this had to have not been on purpose. The color isn't jiving with her fair skin. The dress might have been all right with as fair as her skin tone is with a different background, but the way that the rosettes on the dress mimic the background, it's almost as if like your dress kind of matches the wallpaper of somewhere. She is not on my worst or best dressed. I just kind of wanted to make the point that this background really kind of threw a wrench into things for people last night. Let's get into the video and talk about my favorites and least favorites. Let's start out on a positive note with one of my absolute favorite looks from the night, Hunter Schafer, and she was wearing Prada. I have all my notes here on an iPad and I will try to not look down too frequently because I know it's distracting, but there's a long list of stuff going on, so do forgive me if I glance down at my notes once in a while. So Hunter Schafer in Prada, everything about this was right. It had that red carpet wow factor. It suited her skin tone, it suited her figure, it just really looked like her. It was ethereal, it was mermaid-esque, it was iridescent in a good way, it was luminous, it was just absolute perfection. It was my favorite look of the evening, and it was incredibly windy last night. So this photo, it was not an error, but it really lent itself to the overall wow factor of this dress. And if you hadn't been in LA last night, you probably didn't know that it was incredibly windy. You might have thought this was like a special effect, like wind machine or something. It wasn't. It was very windy last night. So my heart really goes out to everybody who was on the red carpet, even the people who were working behind the scenes, myself included. The wind was a little bit of a difficulty, but it really worked in Hunter's favor. This was my personal favorite look of the evening. First up for my least favorites is unfortunately Margot Robbie in Custom Armani. Now I know she played Barbie, there's a huge fan base for that movie and even the Barbie core style of dress, which is absolutely fine. And I don't know if maybe she was under contract to have worn this Barbie look on the red carpet, but for me, it was too much. Like, we get it. You played Barbie, it was cute, it was a thing. But to have to show up on the red carpet in this, I just didn't like it. It was too much of a costumey look. And in my opinion, it wasn't very elegant. It was a little bit tacky. And I just think that she could have done so much better. She already has so much going for her. This just didn't do it for me. And like I said, maybe she was under contract to have worn this because of the Barbie movie. I don't know. And one of the cool things about it is that it was based on a 1977 Barbie. It was called Superstar Barbie. So I do think that's kind of cool. But enough with the Barbie look. We know you played Barbie in a movie. You don't have to dress up as Barbie in real life. Next up in my favorites category was Rachel Brosnahan, aka Mrs. Maisel in this household. She's wearing Sergio Hudson and she was styled by Alexandra Mandelkorn. I will mention any of the stylists that I found the information on as well because I want to give them their due credit. I was lucky enough to see this look in person. I was actually at the hotel next door to the event because I was styling clients and I got to see a couple of these looks. This one in person was so impeccably beautiful. She is stunning no matter what. So I loved the sort of visual interest of the button that runs down the center. The sweetheart off the shoulder neckline is fantastic on her. And from the media coverage that showed it mostly from the front, that really did not do it justice. The back and her hair just really added that extra something special and also really elevated the look. It added a touch of personal style and uniqueness. The dress itself was beautiful, but it kind of leans a little more classic, and I like that she was more whimsical and showed some of herself and her own style in the way that she did her hair. And something about this was also very reminiscent to Scarlett Johansson having a red carpet moment in a very similar dress, but altogether it looked beautiful on her. It was fun, it was fresh, and it did show her personal style as well. Is it just me, or do we tend to cut men a little bit more slack when it comes to their overall appearance and fashion choices? I kind of think we do, but next up is a guy, Jonathan Bailey, in Givenchy. This was one of my least favorite looks. And some of the reasons that I would say constructively, because if you're going to say you don't like something, you kind of need to say why. So the reasons that I did not love this look is that it, first of all, kind of looks sloppy. It doesn't look put together. And it's kind of flowy, but in a bad way. So it leans too casual and again, not put together. Also, the midline is off, the shirt isn't tucked in properly, and just all together, it's kind of giving pajamas, I don't care. He might have been going for effortless, even kind of beachy, which wouldn't make sense for me in the winter on a red carpet. But none of this works for the Golden Globes red carpet appearance. So this would have been cute for maybe a beach wedding, vacation. It's just too casual. And then the way that it's actually styled and put together is kind of missing the mark. It's sloppy and it's just, the execution on it's not right. So this was a least favorite. And I especially did not care for these kind of clunky black shoes. It's giving wrong shoe, but in the wrong way. It kind of makes me think like he was packing and he forgot to bring the shoes he wanted to bring and that was all he had, which I'm sure is not what happened. My heart goes out to him if it did, but I don't think that's what happened. So unfortunately, this one missed the mark for me. One of my next absolute favorites of the evening was Riley Keough in Chanel. So let's talk about this look. Some of the things that I really loved about it is that it was unique. It had that special wow factor. I can tell that it's Chanel right away. I'm really loving the uniqueness of this sheer dress on top over the rest of the gown. I think it's very special, it's very different. And I also really enjoy the way that she is styled. I think that she has stayed true to herself. She doesn't look like the clothes are wearing her. I think that she probably had a big part in picking this overall look. It doesn't look as if someone completely styled her into someone she isn't and pushed her out onto the red carpet. So I think she had a big hand in how this overall look was put together. I love that her hair is worn a little bit more naturally. Her makeup looks very minimal. And it's just kind of giving California cool girl, effortless style. but it's not so effortless that it looks sloppy like Jonathan Bailey in the Givenchy ensemble. It's effortless as if she just is that cool girl, and it's so easy for her to look this amazing, even though behind the scenes it probably wasn't. But this was such a special look. It was one of my absolute favorites of the evening. Next up in my least favorites is Bella Ramsey in Prada. I had to look up how old they are before I filmed this video because I didn't want to say a bunch of bad things about a child's outfit, because they look quite young and I thought they were actually a minor, and there are only so many things that a minor could wear on a red carpet, but they are 20, they are not a minor, so fair enough. This is one of my least favorite looks of the evening. And the reasons for it is, the first thing that I immediately thought when I saw this was, wow, she gives 0 Fs, and not in a good way. And the other thing was, to me, it almost looked like Spock from Star Trek. So here are the specific reasons that I don't care for this. So this is a high fashion red carpet event. I don't love when paparazzi photos of any celebrity pop up of so-and-so leaving the gym or the grocery store looking ugly. I don't think that's fair game, but this is a red carpet event in Hollywood, so we know that there are going to be photographs taken, it's going to be highly publicized, so we go into that knowing this, and instead of leaning kind of cool or effortless, like I think they could have shown up in perhaps a jumpsuit or even an actual suit, something that leans a little more androgynous. I'm completely okay with the fact that they're not wearing a sequiny dress. That's completely fine. One of the nice things that I would say about this is that they are staying true to themselves, but it unfortunately leans too far, in my opinion, to putting up the middle finger to the entire fashion industry. So it literally looks to me like they don't want to be there, which maybe they don't. Perhaps their management kind of said you have to go to this, but it really kind of puts up the middle finger to everyone who did showing up looking as if they gave some Fs. So for that reason, I don't like this. My next favorite of the evening was Lenny Kravitz in Alexander McQueen, and now in my book, Lenny Kravitz can do no wrong. He has the best style, which even plays into some of his interior design. I actually didn't know this until I saw one of his homes featured in a magazine, that he had done all of the interior design himself, and I was like, the man has impeccable taste. Case in point, this look from last night, he looks fantastic. He also has a slight advantage in the fact that he has a fantastic physique, which may be easier to dress, but this Alexander McQueen suit hits all the marks for me. It is classic, it's elegant, it's chic, but it's also Alexander McQueen, which has a little bit of a funkier edge to it. So that's something that I really appreciate, as well as this cool side cutout detail. We typically see those a lot more in women's wear, and I just think it's really cool to see that lend itself toward a menswear look. But the cut with this deep V on the suit jacket, it's linear, it's pleasing to the eye, it has a nice architectural effect, it's interesting, and it's just cool. Like Lenny Kravitz, if I had to describe him in one word, like, he's cool. So this suits him. He is not being worn by his clothes, he is wearing the clothes, and he looks fantastic. Rosamund Pike in this Dior lace beekeeper outfit was one of my least favorites from the evening, mostly for the reasons that I just said. I can appreciate kind of the uniqueness, and maybe she wanted something really different, but this leans so far different that it's almost comical or costumey. It's very reminiscent to me of the time that Samantha Jones got a skin peel or cosmetic procedure and she was wearing that giant veiled hat to Carrie's event. This just almost looks like she's trying to hide intentionally, and she's so beautiful. She has such a stunning face and features. I just wish that she would have shown more of that, but this is just, it's too funky. So I think there are times that we can kind of lean into ourselves and do something a little bit different, showcase our personal styles, but when it leans costumey, it's just too much, and especially for a highly publicized event like a red carpet, this just really missed the mark because all of it's too weird of elements. It didn't work for me. Greta Lee in Loewe was one of my favorite looks from the evening. This beautiful draped vanilla gown. It was so unique. It was so different. It had the right amount of a sexy component. The front had a very high neck, but it was a little more exposed on the side and the back. And if you know me, you know that I love a cutout detail, and I also love a detailed or open back. I think that is just such a sexy, chic, glamorous way to wear something that's a little bit more provocative without it leaning raunchy or too much. So this was such a stunning, beautiful look. I just can't get over how beautiful the detail on the back of this is, but it makes perfect sense that it's Loewe. Like, some of their designs are so sculptural and architectural. You can almost tell that that's who designed this dress. This dress suits her perfectly. I would bet money on the fact that she had a pretty big part to play in its selection. It suits her so nicely, and she doesn't look uncomfortable or like she doesn't really like it, or she doesn't even know what she's doing here on this red carpet. Like, she is on her A game. She looks poised, confident, happy, and everything about this just suits her so beautifully. From where the cutouts are placed, she has these beautifully toned arms, which by all means she should absolutely show off. And while there is some skin exposure, especially in the back area, she's kept the front classy and a little bit more covered. So this, for all of those reasons, was one of my favorites. My next least favorite of the evening was Reese Witherspoon wearing Monique Lhuillier. There are several reasons I don't care for this look, so let's get into them. The first is that I feel like it's frumpy. Instead of being classic in a good, elegant, chic, or cool way, it's classic in a bad way. It's very almost boring. It's also kind of frumpy, and it's giving, in my opinion, 80s prom dress. So this weird kind of like saggy bow-ish detail sash across the front, that's not good. And then this velvet bodice of the dress leans very 80s prom dress or Christmas dress. It's just not a favorite. And then we get all the way down into the kind of bland length of the dress, and we have this bland closed-toed shoe. So none of this screams special, unique, fun, glamorous, red carpet wow moment. So I think those are the reasons I would say I just didn't like it. It's frumpy, it's boring, it's also kind of unflattering, and it just isn't her best look. And also Reese Witherspoon, she's been on a zillion red carpets, so it's not her first rodeo, and I just was not impressed with this look at all. The two most popular colors that I noticed on the red carpet last night were either ivory-ish dresses and then also red dresses. My next favorite is Florence Pugh. She is wearing Valentino, and she was styled by Rebecca Corbin Murray. Everything about this is absolute perfection. So it has that bright red wow factor, but it doesn't lean tacky or prom dress like some of the other red dresses did. I also love that this is cool, it's fresh, it's young, and it really looks like her. This just suited her perfectly, and I also love the fact that she kept her hair very cool and kind of funky, while the dress is a little bit more elegant. It kind of tones down the elegantness from getting too classic, and it's just really special and unique, and again, is very true to herself. So I think this is a fantastic, fun Valentino look. My next least favorite of the night is Sarah Rafferty in Lanvin. And this look just really missed the mark for me for several reasons. The first being that its overall silhouette is kind of unflattering. It's flowy in an unappealing way, so it's taken flowy too far, and it's leaning unflattering. And that's not to say that women need to show up on red carpets in tight things showing all of the goods. That's not the reason that I don't like it. It's just not flattering. So I think that it could have nipped in certain places without being too revealing. Maybe that's the way that she kind of wanted to go, less revealing, and I'm okay with that. But it just isn't doing her any favors. The color also slightly washes her out, and then we've also got an appearance from this terrible background again, not helping the whole situation. And it's just kind of a basic, boring, everyday dress. I feel like this is something that you would see, just a lady on the street wearing just kind of wherever. It looks kind of like a casual day outfit. And again, the color isn't anything fantastic. It certainly isn't doing her any favors. I have my own fair skin problems to deal with, so I kind of know when something is going to wash somebody out. And in every day, maybe it's not the end of the world, maybe you don't care, but on a red carpet where there's bright lights, flash photography, and these photos are going to end up everywhere, I feel like that is something that you do want to consider when choosing these outfits. And then if we look all the way down, it's got this weird, it's maxi length, but it's got this weird high-low hem at the base with kind of a shower curtain-y kind of ruffle that I don't love. And then we go into another closed toe classic shoe. Now I don't have anything against a closed toe shoe. I happen to like them quite a bit, but I think just classic on classic on classic tends to lean frumpy. I don't think there's much that could have saved this look. I think that if it nipped in at the waist or had somewhat of a betterment, for lack of a better word, to its overall very shapeless and unflattering silhouette, that could have helped. And then something else that could have helped a little bit would have been maybe some more fun accessories. She has these bare arms and it's just very, very plain. There's nothing going on the dress with the exception of these shower curtain ruffles. So maybe some arm jewelry, bracelets, a bag, something fun. And she's even got her hair like behind her ear where like a long earring or something cool, or even a hair barrette clip, something. Or even a more fun shoe, like something that kind of wrapped up the ankle, anything that added any sort of a fun sparkle or wow factor. But she didn't do any of those things, and so this look fell flat because of that. I think the men really brought their A game last night, and case in point is Scott Evans. He is wearing grayscale, which is a line that I was unfamiliar with until now, but it's definitely on my radar. So let's break down the reasons that this look is so fantastic. And I'm sorry if I'm repeating adjectives from previous outfits. There are only so many in the English language, but this is nice because it is, again, cool, it's fresh, it's unique. It's a little bit edgy, but none of it leans weird or costumey, which I think is where when a unique sense of style or something that might be a little bit too cutting edge or fashion forward, for lack of a better word, when it goes costumey or it's just looking weird and it doesn't all kind of jive together, that's when it can go wrong, but that is not happening here. So it is unique and fun. So this kind of color blocking coat at a slightly more cropped length, I think is, again, fresh and very cool, unique. It's something we don't see every day. I also love that he is doing a slightly cropped or cigarette pant, which you don't see too frequently on men, all the way down to the details of the white piping on these loafers, which are kind of giving Celine. I can't say that they for certain are, but they're definitely giving Celine. I love that he's taken sort of a more of a fun approach to a otherwise classic suit style look. So all of these little special details, from the cropped pants to the slightly cropped jacket, color blocking, makes it all so fun, different, and unique. And it also, again, looks like him. I can really get a sense of who he is just from looking at this. So this was a win for me. So speaking of looks that push unique and different a little bit too far and become costumey, my next least favorite was Natasha Lyonne and Skia Pirelli. And my first thought when I looked at this is piñata. It looks like a piñata. So even the, whatever the bust detail, like the strapless thingies that are pointing up, are giving some sort of animal ears, and the sort of like paper mache fuzziness of the texture of it. It is all just giving piñata. It's giving too weird to be considered fresh or something cool in a good way. I will compliment the fact that she probably is showcasing her own personality through this. It just fell flat for me, but that's personal taste. I think she herself tends to kind of march to the beat of a different drum, and we are seeing that here. So she has been, again, true to herself, but for me it just really isn't working. It's a little bit too weird. It's not even like fresh or quirky or cool, which I think she could have done, and that would have been a preferable look. This just leans, again, weird and costumey. And then also we've fallen into the trap that many people did last night with the unknown background color, which, again, I will find out next time I'm styling for a red carpet. My main question is going to be, what color is that background? Because with her fair skin and then the fair color of this dress and then the fair color of the background, it's all leaning very vanilla, kind of washing her out. But it's unique, so I'll give her that. It just fell flat for me. So Haley Stanfield in Prada really showcases the example of how to take classic silhouettes and classic pieces and keep them kind of fresh and fun so that they don't lean too classic and go frumpy. This was one of my absolute favorite looks from the night. She's wearing Prada, and I love so many things about this. The pink color suits her skin tone perfectly. The black gloves go with it nicely to where it doesn't look over the top or as if it's, a lady heading to the opera. So none of it is costumey. And I also really love this classic silhouette, the very clean kind of sculptural, architectural design. I can tell that this is Prada. The train on the back keeps it sort of young. It adds a fresh, unique, unexpected element to this, which again is keeping it very unique and beautiful. And then the higher neckline really sort of brings attention to her beautifully stunning face. Nothing about this look is distracting from her overall beauty. I am seeing her shine through. I'm still seeing the dress, but nothing about it is distracting aside from the fact about how good it is. But everything about this is impeccable, and I'm also really loving the slight sort of iridescent mermaid-ish shine to it without it leaning like tacky or Barbie. I think this is a fantastic look, so she gets an A+ in my book. Unfortunately, Elle Fanning in Balmain was one of my absolute least favorite looks of the evening. I think everything about this look is just very off. It's missing the mark to where I'm at a lack of words to keep it like not insulting. It's very bad. This is my least favorite, or one of my least favorite looks of the night. But I'm going to try to voice my dislike into constructive description. So let's try and describe what's gone wrong with this outfit, because there is a lot. So I think the first thing is this bow. It's floppy, it's right in the middle of her dress, and I don't think it's supposed to be asymmetrical. It just looks kind of floppy or like it was smushed in the closet. It's distracting. Also, the color of this on her fair skin, and again with this terrible background that really threw everybody off, the color of this isn't something that I would have put her in. It's washing her out pretty terribly. And the cut of this being the sort of classic with the tighter bodice and a slightly more flowy skirt, it's just too classic. Again, it does kind of lean bad prom dress. There is nothing interesting about it whatsoever. The one detail that it does have on it is, again, this hideous bow, which is distracting and not lending itself toward anything good. There is no slit in the front, which I think could have sort of broken up this overall blah shape and color, but there's nothing there to do any of that. And then we get all the way down to the shoe, and again, where we could have maybe done something a little bit better, I don't think anything would have saved this look, but an ivory closed-toed shoe, it just isn't, it's not fun, it's not unique, it isn't special, there's no wow factor. And she is so stunning and beautiful. There are so many things that she could have worn and not missed the mark. And I'm looking at this photo of her right now, and I'm really noticing her beautiful kind of pale, milky, but shiny skin tone. And she's got this sort of like fit, very toned, elegant upper body with an extremely gorgeous long neck. There are a lot of things that I think would have looked a ton better on her. This just wasn't great. It was kind of an absolute fail. Speaking of a dress that really did have those unique details and wow factor, next up we have Elizabeth Debicki. She is in Dior and styled by Elizabeth Saltzman. This look really checked all of the boxes for me. So first off, it is ultra flattering on her. So both the color and cut are suiting her perfectly, and it is a little bit pale, and she is also a little bit fair, but it's working. There's enough warmth in sort of the golden sheen of the dress to where she has been able to sidestep anything that's washing her out. I love the sort of layering or double strap that comes up from the side. I love that she's also played off of that theme and layered her necklaces. And I really love this sort of snake scale-ish looking sequin of this metallic dress. I just think that it's really gorgeous, and it's also kind of mermaid core, but it doesn't lean costumey or weird. It's very, very special. And this neckline that's a little bit more open without being too provocative or revealing, with the square cut especially, really showcases her stunning face. We're able to see her. I am slightly distracted by how beautiful this dress is, but not in a bad way to where I just don't see anything but this dress coming at me. I think that can be a bad thing. That is not happening here. This is showcasing her and all of her beautifulness in such a fantastic way. And again, it's unique and she looks happy and comfortable. She doesn't look fidgety, or there's nothing in her eyes that's kind of saying like, I don't want to be here, or I hate this outfit. So I think this is a beautiful look, another A+. Now, if I said to you custom Fendi red carpet gown, you probably have pretty high expectations. This next look is a custom Fendi look on Greta Gerwig, and unfortunately it really misses the mark. I think she herself had a really huge night. The spotlight was really on her, and I hope that she had a really fun evening, but I just did not love this look at all for multiple reasons. So let's break down what has gone wrong with this, because it's a lot. So the first thing I would say that I don't care for about this look is the overall sort of boxy and frumpy looking silhouette. I think they intended for some draping to kind of go through the bodice and a little bit on the upper part of the top. But for me, it's just kind of giving ill-fitting. It's not giving intentional draping. It's kind of bunchy and loose in a lot of places. And again, it doesn't look intentional. It just kind of looks like it doesn't fit and wasn't sewn properly. Also, the black, and it's all one piece. So there's no slit, there's no cutout, there's no sparkle, there's no other detail. It is just one oversized piece of flat black fabric, which really lacks in wow factor. And because the draping is so oversized, you just almost can't see it. And on top of that, we have these black gloves that are sort of leaning like frumpy opera instead of cool accessory. And the swoopy sort of flock of seagulls hairstyle also isn't doing her any favors. I think that she really could have kind of opened it up a little bit more, because we've got this dress that comes all the way up her neck, so she's very, very covered, but then she's also kind of hiding herself with this side swooping hairstyle. It's just not the most flattering look. And then back to how the overall thing looks ill-fitting. So the fact that the top neck part of this comes up so high, and then we've got sort of this off-putting cap sleeve that looks like it was either an afterthought or correction. It's just not jiving with the overall look. And then I think that my eye is kind of going from the top of her bust up to the neck. And it's fine that it's covered, because I respect, again, women who don't want to show up in something that is overly tight or sexy or with tons of cleavage. That's completely fine. But the fact that this is so loose and ill-fitting and comes all the way up to the neck, there is a lot of fabric right here that's just very unflattering. And on the red carpet, my eye is going again from the bust up to her face. And I'm just very distracted by this frumpy black dress that really missed the mark for me, especially considering that it was custom Fendi. But like I said, I think she had a big evening with the awards, and I hope that she did have a fun night. Now, I didn't include either Taylor Swift or Dua Lipa in this video, and I think some of you might have expected me to. I will touch on their looks just a little bit because, again, they were the most talked about looks of the evening, but I'm kind of not sure why. Now, I'm certainly not saying that these looks were fails, but I'm also not putting them into my favorite category. So we had Taylor Swift in the green Gucci sparkle gown. There were parts of it that I did like, but overall I didn't think that it was deserving of being one of the most talked about looks of the evening. I think just because of her own popularity, everybody loves Taylor Swift. I think that might have been the reason for it, because the dress wasn't anything that was overly spectacular. It certainly wasn't bad. It had elements that I did like. I can certainly tell that it's Gucci. I love the back detail of this sort of like strappy cutoutness, and I think the color was very flattering on her. I like that it was a sparkly sequin design, which did lean toward like sparkly wow factor red carpet, but overall I wasn't falling out of my chair over it. So it was fine. Was it a favorite? No. Was it a fail? Also no. And kind of the same thing for Dua Lipa and Schiaparelli. Everybody was really talking about this look, and I think that Dua Lipa, she's so stunning. Like, she's stunning in jeans. It doesn't really matter what she wears. So that might have been one of the reasons for this being one of the most discussed looks. Everybody loves her. She is quite popular. She's so beautiful. But this look wasn't one of my favorites. So again, it wasn't a fail, it was just fine. So that's it for my list of favorites and failures from the Golden Globes. I'd love to know if there was something that you either loved or really disliked. Leave me a comment below if there's somebody here that I didn't discuss. And thanks for watching.